All right, so we actually live now. All right, let's just give a few seconds for people to start coming in. All right, I'm really so excited for this session today. So while we wait for people to join in, I'm just gonna go ahead and pin the frequently asked information. Welcome everyone, all those that are connecting. Please, as you connect, confirm if you can hear me. Welcome and thank you so much for joining. As you join, please go ahead and share so that we'll have as we can reach as many as possible people. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. As you connect, also, if you have something specific that you're hoping to get out of this session, focusing on OKR, please kindly go ahead and drop that on the comment section. Anything specific that you would like to get out of this session, focusing on OKR, go ahead and drop that on the comment section. And then as we proceed, we'll make sure that we are covering that. Thank you so much. Welcome everyone. As you can see, I see 29 people connected. Augustina, Ezeroy Comedy, hi. Miria, hi. Thank you so much for joining. Sidorine, thank you for connecting. Awesome, Samuel. Thank you for the confirmation. I'm really excited today because I am here with a very, very smart agile practitioner, Mrs. Ife Okapu. I hope that by the time we're done with this session, you will really gain some value from it because that's really our goal. So as you join, please kindly go ahead and share so that other people can connect and benefit from this session. And most importantly, hit that like button. If you've not subscribed, click that subscription button. It's totally free. It doesn't cost you anything at all. Thank you so much. All right. So I see 38 people connected. By the time we get to 45, we will get started. Let's just give a second so this thing can load up. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Anne. Thank you for joining, Gozi. Kelsey, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Awesome. I'm glad that people are already excited that we are addressing this topic. Awesome. All right. I'm gonna pin this message. Okay. All right. Yeah, so I see 47 people already here. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining. All right, so go ahead and get started. So before we get started, I just want to quickly give a summary of Mrs. Ife Okapu. So Miss Ife is actually my partner. She is also my peer in the agile industry. I've worked with her extensively on the field and out of the field on different social life aspects, on community service projects, on so many different things. So I'm really excited that we are having you on the show today to share your insight on OKR. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. And I'm very confident that it's going to be very valuable. So, Ms. Ife has been in the agile space for an extensive amount of time. So, what she does specifically is she helps a lot teams, organization, individuals with coaching, training, mentoring, and one-on-one stuff like that. So, again, I'm really excited. And right now, I would just like to pass the mic to Miss Ife to speak for herself and just tell us about you, Miss Ife. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Karen, for having me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So,
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Thank you, viewers, and thanks everybody for joining. Again, thank you, Karen. This is a great platform you have, and for all the great work you do. Just wanted to lend my voice to join the crowd of people to say thank you. I'm sure you've touched a lot of lives, and so just continue to do the great things that you do. Again, I count it a privilege to be here, so thank you for inviting me. My name is Ife Okapu, and just like she said, an active practitioner in the Agile world. We do our best to give the little quota that we have, share with our community. Like they always say, we grow by lifting others, right? So the little we know, we just try to share and also learn from people as we go, because again, nobody knows it all. So yeah, I've been in the Agile field for quite a number of years. I've worked with different organizations, and by the special grace of God, been able to acquire some little bit of knowledge here and there. Hopefully we can share those with you guys today, and also learn from some of the things that you guys will be sharing with us as well as we go in this discussion. And also, when I am not working, I like to organize events, just like she said. We do a lot of social activities behind the scenes and also outside of our workspaces. So that's another thing that I try to use my time to do whenever I'm not, in the agile space. So I do something else by planning events and stuff like that. So again, thank you guys for having me, and look forward to learning much from everybody as much as I will share. Thank you, Karen.
amazing. Thank you so much. I like that you touched on your social aspects because I didn't really emphasize on that. Guys, if you are looking for a guru to plan your events, Miss Iffy is the plug for you. She is
Okay.
amazing. So I mean, I'm just really happy that
I try, I try, I
we cross
try.
paths.
I
Yeah.
try.
So okay. So today, our topic of focus today is OKR. For those who are not familiar with what OKR stands for, OKR really stands for objectives and key results. That's what we'll be deep diving today. And just a brief on what our agenda will look like. We hope to spend approximately 35 minutes to run through our plan, and then we will reserve some time for questions. And as we go through this topic, like I said earlier, if you have anything in mind that you're hoping to get out of this session regarding OKR, please leverage the comment section and drop whatever that is, and then we'll do our best to make sure we address it before this whole session is over. So while we do so, we also urge you to not only be here and benefit from this alone, go ahead and share so that other people can connect as well. Share with your network and support our platform, support our message, and support what we stands for. It goes a long way to encourage us to keep doing what we're doing. Thank you so very much. Now, on OKR, Miss Ife, I just want to know what is your understanding of OKR, given that I have been hearing about OKR a little bit more lately, and I know that most of this of big organizations, which will be touching on that a little bit, they're beginning to take advantage of this thing a whole lot. So just talk to us. What is your understanding of OKR?
Yeah, and thank you for that question. So, in truth, I think a lot of organizations are beginning to tie into OKR, and hopefully, when we talk through this, people can actually see the reasons why people are diving into OKRs. OKRs, like you said, it's simply objectives. That's what the O stands for, and the KR is the key results. So there's the objective on itself and then the key results. So the objectives are usually, I mean, like the English dictionary will put it, it's something that you aim at. Like your objective should be something inspirational, something that wakes you up from your bed every day. So you have an objective, it's almost like your goal. What are you looking to do? What are you looking to achieve? That's what that objective itself stands for. And then the key result, which is a KR there, we kind of call it a quantitative statement. So it's something that measures what your objective, it shows the success, what success should actually look like by the time you've gone through your objectives and also achieved it. So that's what the key result there stands for. So it kind of shows you what success should look like. You should be able to measure it. It's a quantitative statement. So something that you can show that from here, this is where we were initially, and currently, this is where we are. right? So that's what the key
Mm-hmm.
result there stands for. So you just don't go ahead and just create objectives. You have to create something that by the time you take a look at your key results, it can show you the progress that you're making. So that's kind of
Amazing.
what the OKR stands for. You know, initially everybody will say, "Well, I think everything sounds the same. It's all goals, right? Why
Yeah.
are people not saying goals? Why are people saying
Mm-hmm.
OKRs?" What OKR does is just like a framework that enables you to be able to dissect this goal
Mm-hmm.
that you think you're creating. Because sometimes you put everything into the goal, it becomes so cumbersome, you don't even have a way to be able to approach it, not to talk of achieving it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but when you put it into the OKR structure, it tells you specifically what you're doing, it shows you the steps to go and how you're going to achieve it, and over a period of time. So that's the reason why
Amazing.
that's the reason why a lot of people are gearing towards it. And there's another thing the OKR doesn't mention, which is the third part. It's not in the acronym, which is the OKR, it's the initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the initiatives are the third part in the sense that when you have your objectives created and then you coin out some key results, then the initiatives will now be the steps you need to take to achieve these key results that you're looking to get. So, give one example. I know we'll talk more about examples going
Yeah.
forward, but
Mm-hmm.
then if you were to just say, "I want to be able to drink a lot of water to maybe you want to lose your weight or something like
Mm-hmm.
that," and then your key results, because again, it's something you want to look to measuring. You say,
Yeah.
"Okay, I used to weigh 200 pounds. I want to be able to come down to 185 in 3 months." Right? The steps you will take, which will be the initiatives now, would be I need to maybe stay away from eating carbs, or I need to exercise every day. So
Mm,
these are your
that's challenging.
yeah, these are your steps you need to take to be able to achieve that. And now, if you want to take us into our IT world, I know not everybody watching this will be in the IT sector, but then if you want to take us into our IT space, like the
Mm-hmm.
Agile space, which of course you are coaching in, after your objectives have been created, your key results, you want to see measurements, maybe user interface, or maybe people being able to assess a particular thing from this percentage to another percentage, the different epics and features and stories that you create are what we'll call the initiative. So those are the steps that will guide you to achieving that key result that your
Mm-hmm.
company has set. So I don't know if this
Amazing.
gave like a quick overview
Well, to me,
of
I think it covers it really well. So I hope our audience feels the same. So thank you so very much. I see Morning Dew Imperium is adding that objectives can be short term while goal is long term. I totally agree with that. Thank you so much for that contribution.
yeah.
Again,
Thank you. I
please,
was going to
as we
come to that
proceed
later.
on this, I value conversational kind of, shows. That's how we do it here. So it's not only about Mrs. Ify and I. If you have contributions to make, we'll appreciate that. Leverage
Sure.
that comment section. You're not only posting questions, we need you to also add your insight on this topic as we proceed. Thank you so much. Now, I'm just curious, because so many people may be hearing about this OKR. You've given a good definition of it, which is clear. But just like the 10th principle of agile states, we want to be able to simplicity, which is maximizing the work not done, is essential. So for anyone to adopt anything, they want to know why they want to do it, or why they should do it. So in your experience, um what would you say would be a good reason or reasons why we should adopt the use of this tool?
Yeah. So some of the reasons I would give, number one, again, like I said, it's a framework that kind of allows the leaders to be able to provide a vision.
Mhm.
And we all know most of the time the people that sit at the helm of affairs may not really know how to get their hands dirty to get the work done. So, what do I mean? The person who's the CEO might have a good leadership managerial skill, but it's not a back end coder, or is not a UX designer. So, he doesn't really know how to make this happen. But he can dream. He can wake
Yeah.
up and say, "Yeah, this is what I'd like to see my organization move on to." So he's a good dreamer. He's a guy with a vision, But what this OKRO does, it helps them to be able to create that vision, right? Without bothering about going into solutioning.
Mm-hmm.
So by solutioning, it means, coming down to the breakdown of all the details that how can we actually get this done, but they can dream. So now it
Yeah.
gives them that leverage to be able to dream and say, hey, for this year, we're hoping that this is what our organization will move from here to here. That's it, right? So with
Mm-hmm.
that, it gives the team now. So going down from the leadership down to maybe the next tier and then down to the team, it gives them that empowerment to be able to settle down to figure out how to get this
Mm-hmm.
vision, come to play. So it gives everybody that fair ground of bringing everybody together to partner to making the company actually move, grow, achieve its goals, and make you feel like a part of that
Mm-hmm.
organization.
Amazing.
Another reason why some people would also say they like to do OKRs again, it's to enable the team focus on outcomes. We cannot overemphasize on
What
outcomes.
is that?
It's
What is outcomes? That's
yeah.
another
So
question.
yeah. So outcomes usually is what is the value out of what you are putting in. Sometimes there's an
Mm-hmm.
output. We hear the output, and then there's an outcome,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the output is just you're doing something. There's a term that says that you're busy doesn't mean you're making progress. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
heard that.
Yeah,
There you
I've
go.
heard
So
of that. I've
some
heard of pretend busy.
there you
I've
go.
heard of
Some people can
I've heard
just
of busy work. You don't want
exactly.
to
Some
do
people
busy
can
work.
people can be busy for God's sake doing all kinds of things, but there is no progress. There's no
Mm-hmm.
tangible value that they've added.
Yeah.
So the outcome itself is now the tangible value that you are adding. So that your team is busy crushing stories. They bring 20 into their sprint. Oh man, they're done. All of their story points met. Oh, kudos. What was the value at the end of the sprint? Do you see what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's the outcome that is the driver here. That's where our strength should be channeling towards. So that's what the OKR enables teams to do. Focus on the outcomes. So that way, however it is they pull in their work to do within a given period of time. For those who practice the Scrum framework, given within a given sprint, there's a piece of the focus, that outcome focus that they're gearing
Mm-hmm.
towards. So they're not just busy picking things; they're picking things in line with what they need to do. Another
Amazing.
thing, another reason would be, it enables everybody, I would say probably the team or maybe the entire organization to be able to pivot quickly when there is a market change, right? So, like we know in the agile world, everybody needs to stay on their toes. That's why it's called agile. If things change, be ready to change. So, if you do have OKRs and what is advised when setting OKRs is to make them short time bound. So, you're not planning for the whole year at a stretch. You can do them quarterly. Most people like to do them quarterly. So, like every 3 months, and then come back, reassess, and then continue. So, within your given 3 months, if the market changes, you have a time leverage to
Mm-hmm.
reassess, to change things quickly, and spawn back to action. So that's what that OKR does. So it gives you that clear visibility. Everybody can see, the entire team can walk through with what the organization is planning. Because
Mm-hmm.
we have seen a lot of times where teams are just being made to work on things. They don't really know what the end, the overall picture looks like. All they know is, I was asked to create this API. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
What the
Yeah.
API is going to do in the long run or at the big picture, they really don't know. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that OKR does. It gives everybody that visibility to be able to understand what the organizational goal is. And
Mm-hmm.
from this organizational goal, this is our own part to play. So
Awesome.
everybody
Wow.
dive into it. Let's get this running. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You run faster when you know where you're going.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you're just, let me
Yeah,
just
you'll
do
be
because
running and checking. I should even
let
go
me
to
just,
somewhere else,
stuff like that. Man, even, let me just, you'll be very
Mm-hmm.
lackadaisical about it. But then if
Mm-hmm.
you have that end goal, the same with everybody else in the organization, the energy is very strong because then we all know where we are, where we're
Yeah.
heading to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody works together.
Amazing.
Yeah. So there's that
That's
visibility with that
beautiful.
OKR for people to be able to see, dive
Mm-hmm.
into, and also learn from. and stuff like that.
Amazing.
So there are lots of advantages, they are.
Great. Thank you
Lots
so
of
much.
advantages.
On the point you mentioned on outcome, to me, I think that's one of the most important aspects, because you realize that most teams, organizations, everyone wants to, cover their behind. They will end up just being busy all over the place. But what are you
Very
working on?
busy.
I don't know.
Very
At the
busy.
end of
You
the
have no
sprint,
idea.
people are busy. They are burnt out.
They are so
They're
busy.
tired. But they really don't have anything that the customers can use. Even if the
Mm,
customers can use it, is it giving value to the
mm,
customers? Is
mm,
it ready to even go to the customers? These three aspects. So they end up with things that are not usable, are not valuable, and are not shippable, but they've been busy. And from an
mm,
honest place, they know they've been working. You see, so I really like that you mentioned that, because out with this OKR concept, it really helps teams, drive them towards the same direction, shifting from output, which is a busy every day, to
very
more
busy.
outcome. To more outcome. They have a
Yeah.
target that, okay, this is what we want to achieve, this is what we want to give to the customers that they can use, and it will actually add value to them.
Mm,
So I really appreciate that you're saying that. So Healthy with Benna is saying, so what would, no, that's not what I wanted to pick on. That's what I wanted to pick on. Outcome is value based or focused, while busy work is output. Yes, that I totally agree with you. And on everything you just said on the benefits or the reasons why we should use OKR, I just want to add by sharing a little bit of background on how this OKR even came about. So the founder or the inventor of this OKR concept is called Andy Grove. So that was in back then around the 60s, and
1964.
yeah, so he used to work with Intel at that time. So they were struggling. They were facing a lot of issues, with just being able to get things done. They have so much to do, but yet nothing ever gets done, or just little gets done. Everything is a priority. Everything is important. And we know
Exactly.
that in life, out of this everything that is important, we need to be able to prioritize and really
Mm,
focus on the ones that are really really important, as opposed to the ones that we think are important. So in the course of figuring out how to end up achieving this outcome, as opposed to just prioritizing everything and then not getting anything done, that is how this concept of OKR came about. And when he actually discovered this, and then they started experimenting it, they realized that things were getting done. That's the whole point. They were actually
mm,
able to get things done. They were actually able to maximize the work not done. That is identifying those things that they thought were really important. But
mhm.
in the course of structuring, aligning everyone towards the same direction, socializing this goal, and making everyone feel inspired, connected, be ambitious on this particular thing, really getting the buy-in of all of the stakeholders, and everyone is moving towards the same direction. They were actually able, through collaboration, to identify the things that, oh, the customers really don't need this. Yeah, this
Mhm.
may only be one. So they were able to remove all those things and not do them. That way, they are saving money, they are saving
Yeah.
credibility, they are saving
Mhm.
energy. They're not wasting resources, and they're only able to focus on the things that are really valuable and really do that. And that way, business growth was everything. And now you can see big organizations from that Intel thing, big organizations like Google,
Mhm.
LinkedIn, Twitter,
Mhm.
US Bank, all these organizations are currently taking advantage of this concept that was just started by one person. You see, so I
Exactly.
just wanted to add that little background story.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
so my next question for you is, who is responsible, in creating this OKR? I know that everyone, I've been hearing OKR, but who exactly? If, let's say, if something goes wrong with the OKR, who are we going to hold accountable?
That's a very good question. So, so OKR, as it were, okay. So usually for those organizations that practice OKRs, so how it runs is there is the organizational OKR, right?
Mm-hmm,
So the organizational OKR would be obviously from the leaders at the top. Now,
mm-hmm,
at that point, it's usually leadership and their cabinets that are actually involved in making or creating those OKRs.
mm-hmm,
Again, like we said, what are the objectives. And it's always advisable not to create too many objectives, because that's
Mm-hmm.
another issue that a lot of people face. Try to stay within a 3 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's a given, a doable, like they call the SMART goal. Just make it
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
specific, measurable,
Mm-hmm.
actionable, realistic, and time bound. Just make sure you stay within the 3 to 5. Some people may create a little bit more, but
Mm-hmm.
realistically, it's better to have smaller numbers so that way you can focus. So at
Mm-hmm.
that particular top part, you have more of executives in the organization and their cabinets, their direct reports. They are the ones who actually settle down to lay out this vision. So here's where we are currently. This is what the market looks like. This is what we're hoping, that we can do within
Mm-hmm.
this given year. At
Mm-hmm.
that top level, it's usually a yearly vision. Of course, can change again due to
Mm-hmm.
market needs and all of that, but it's usually a yearly vision. So they have the vision for the year to say, in this year
Mm-hmm.
we're going to buy this company, in this year we're going to do this. So now they've created all of that. From that point on, now they cascade it down. So it starts coming down the ladder, right? So now they cascade down to, I don't know, depending on your organization and the different tiers they may have, they start cascading down to different
Mm-hmm.
levels of leadership until it starts getting down towards the team level. So as it keeps coming down, they start breaking this OKR, this yearly vision they've seen, they start breaking them down. Maybe by the time it gets towards the middle, it's broken into half. So for the half
Mm-hmm.
part of the year, this is what we're expecting. So by the time it starts getting close towards the team level, then we start coining them down from that length of time towards the quarter.
Yeah.
So at that point, when it's towards the quarter, now the team is involved.
Mm-hmm.
Now the product managers are involved, the release managers, portfolio managers, depending on again what hierarchy is in what
Mm-hmm.
organization. So those are the groups that now come together to break down this OKR. So at
Mm-hmm.
that level, the product managers are now made to make visible what the
Mm-hmm.
quarterly plan looks like to the team. So now the team gets to learn about, in this quarter, this is our own chunk from this big vision. This is a chunk that
Mm-hmm.
came to us. So at
Mm-hmm.
that point, it's everybody, all heads on down, right? So this is
Okay.
what we have to do for the quarter. Now the team begins to agree. Oh, yes, this looks doable. Or how can we even achieve it? So at that point, for those who do quarterly planning, those who do SAFE and other things, they now take that time to start breaking, we call those big ones, the features, start breaking them into doable epics and doable stories,
Mm-hmm.
which they will
Amazing.
take back to their
Mm-hmm.
team to now work on for this
Mm-hmm.
giving period of 3 months to be
Mm-hmm.
able to do it. Usually, some organizations after that 3 month period would always like to do a reflection. So, some people call it
Mm-hmm.
quarterly reflection. Let's reflect on what we agreed. Okay, we created an OKR to say we're increasing the speed from 2% to 3% or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. Did we achieve it? If
Mm-hmm.
we did, yes, kudos. Now, what's the next plan? If we did not, what happened? Can we push it into the next quarter?
Mm-hmm.
Does that affect us meeting the organizational goal by end of year?
Mm-hmm.
So these are some of the things that the team will discuss with their product managers, their product owners, and all of that, to be able to ensure that we continue to align with our organizational goals. So by the time the year is ending, the CEO can look at all these results and say, okay, yes, we planned this at the beginning of the year. Here's where we are at the end of the year. Kudos, everybody. So I don't know if that answered
Amazing.
your question.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And for the sake of our audience, so some organizations don't have product owners; they do have product managers.
Product,
So when
yeah,
you
so
hear Miss,
either
if
one.
yeah, so it's either product managers, and then in where your organization is PO, yeah, so a PO will be the one accountable at team level to ensure that the OKRs are created and everyone is executing according to the OKR plans. And I like that you really mentioned the aspect of the reflection, quarterly reflection. So in my experience, we used to do what we call quarterly planning retrospective. So that would typically happen before the next quarterly product
Exactly.
planning. So that's where we discuss everything you mentioned. Okay, based on what we establish as our objectives, were we able to achieve the key results? And that's where you see the value of these key results
Mm-hmm.
really coming in, because now you are able to have something that you can measure against, looking at the what you established as a key results, and then looking at what you're able to accomplish. Okay, look at the gap. If there is any gap, if it's a positive one, great, we're celebrating. If it's a negative one, okay, what happened? How can we improve? Was this even realistic? What
Mm-hmm.
are some of the adjustments we can make so that next time, really using this as an information radiator for future plans, to feed our upcoming quarterly plan, instead
Yeah,
of
exactly.
using it as a hammer to punish team members, like, okay, why didn't you achieve this goal? You're fired, you're lazy.
Leave now.
I know. Okay. All right. So this brings me to my next question. So I know you've mentioned the PO, you've mentioned the team. So I'm just curious to know, to what extent is the Scrum Master involved in the creation of these OKRs?
Yes. So again, what's the function of a scrum master in the team, right? You're there, you're everything. I like to say you're everything because you're
Yeah.
a process manager, you're the eye from the outside, you're the this, you're the that. So, again, the scrum master within the team, you're there to ensure your team is delivering value. That's your major goal for everyone being in
Mm-hmm.
any team at all.
Mm-hmm.
So for you guys to be delivering value, again, we've just heard that the OKRs, should be aligning with your organizational goal. And then
Mm-hmm.
you, on the other hand, should be able to ensure that your product owner is doing as expected. Product manager, product owner, depending on the one you have, is doing as expected. And what does that mean? Do we have the right alignment with the current organizational goal? If
Mm-hmm.
we do, is the team aware of what it is? Do we have it written out somewhere that everybody can see and assess? If we do not, these are some of the things you want to prompt them to start doing. Please
Mm-hmm.
put this into writing. This is our team site, or this is our homepage, or whatever it is you guys use for team collaboration. Ensure you create a space where it is there. So every
Mm-hmm.
time, even in between your 3 months, during your sprint, your daily stand up, whatever it is, some days you can pull it up and check. So from all of the goals that we, yourself, team, myself, Scrum Master, yourself, product owner, we all created, are we following? Do we feel
Mm-hmm.
like we're falling behind?
Mm-hmm.
So these are some of the things you check from time to time as you go as a Scrum Master. But the major thing is to make sure that your team
Mm-hmm.
now has a foreknowledge of what that goal is, the end
Mm-hmm.
goal.
Mm-hmm.
So once they know that end goal, then they should be able to now know what their own part of their contribution to that end goal is. So once they know these two things, it's easier, it's much better.
Mm-hmm.
Together, you guys now create your own OKRs from the work expected from your team, right? So I could give an example. Let's say somebody who is working, or maybe a team that's working on, or the company may have, a goal to say,
Mm-hmm.
maybe this year, or we want to try to make our customer checkout experience. Maybe it's a retail company, right? A customer
Mm-hmm.
checkout experience much better, or maybe make our customers happier during their checkout experience, something like that. That's their objective. Now, what are
Mm-hmm.
the key results that can come out of that? Maybe your team now is the one working on finances, payments, right? So your
Mm-hmm.
OKRs can begin to fall on that line. So trying to make your customer checkout process better and objective. Under your key results, you want to ensure that you increase payment. Maybe the payment method, you only had direct deposit and maybe Visa. Those are two payment methods. So now your key result is increasing payment method from 2 to 4, right? So now you want to introduce maybe American Express, you want to introduce PayPal to your payment method. So that's one key result you have put in. You see, it's measurable, right? So you should be able to measure that it was at 2. By the end of this quarter, we want to ensure that it's 4. You can
Yeah.
also
Okay.
put in another key result to say maybe customers who, let's say, make purchase for more than, let's say, $25, they get an instant free shipping. So these are key results you guys can put down. Now, from these key results that the team will see from what the product owner would explain to them, everybody agrees that this is doable, then you as a scrum master, from time to time, you want to make sure that as we are working, we're taking a look at our OKR that we've created. Are we following with our timeline? Are we actually meeting these things as we're going? Because every sprint you get towards your OKR. So you as a scrum
Amazing.
master, that's kind of what you're there for. Make sure you're following up.
Great.
Make sure you let your PO make the team know what they're working towards, and everybody
Amazing.
anticipates.
So everything I hear in what you're saying is the Scrum Master is really accountable to ensuring that the OKRs have been created,
Are delivered.
they've
Yep,
been
and created.
visible, they're being worked, everyone is going towards working on the same direction,
Yep.
and everyone is on the same page with what this is. Everyone is on the same page with what the I really liked how you touch on the key result aspect, and which brings us to one of the questions I was supposed to ask you on the characteristics of a good OKR. I hear you mention quantity. They want to increase. You said payment method by 2 or something like that. That's a quantifiable aspect. And then measurable, and then the timeline by the end of a certain quarter. To me, I think these are really the really good aspects to ensure that you're setting up good OKRs for yourself. So from a scrum master perspective, again, in my experience, I think if you really want to ensure that you're carrying out your own accountabilities around this area, it's very important that you're partnering with your people and stay proactive. Stay proactive, so that it's not when you're supposed to have your quarterly product planning live, that's when you're checking if the OKRs are there. No, you have
You're
to,
planning to
let's
fail.
say, exactly. So if you are supposed to have a quarterly planning come up, let's say in the next 1 month or 3 weeks, 3 weeks ahead, you already want to start checking with your team, checking with your product owners. Okay, where do we have one? If we do, because sometimes we have them in our heads. The POs will have them
Exactly.
in their heads.
Yes, exactly.
So do we
you
have
know,
one? If the PO
and
is
then
like
you
yes,
assume
where is
everybody
it?
knows, right?
Yeah, you assume, and you know what assumptions does.
Yeah,
90% of the time, assumptions are wrong.
very
So
wrong.
if at all the PO has one in their brain, okay, where is it? Is it visible? If not, okay, partner with them and encourage them so we can create this thing together. So yeah, that's what you will really be doing as a scrum master. Now let's dive to our next question. So what are really some of the challenges you have encountered, as an agile practitioner helping teams to use OKR?
That's a good one. Okay. Well, I will start with this very point that I talked about, visibility, because again, we have seen situations where, especially, it's just like every other framework that maybe got introduced to the company. It's just like you bring agile to a company that's waterfall. Everybody will be saying, "Oh, I'm doing agile, I'm doing agile, I'm doing agile." They really don't understand what it is, right? So everybody's, I'm doing, I'm doing, I'm doing. So people could be saying, "Yeah, we're practicing OKR. Let's use OKR. We're doing OKR. Those are OKRs." They really don't understand what this OKR is and probably how it can be achieved, right? So there's the lack of understanding. That's one major one I have seen, in my years of practice. A lot of people don't have a full grasp of what an OKR should look like. And to them, it's just yet another written thing. Let it just stay there. Nobody even goes back to look at it though. We're done
Yeah.
with it for this quarterly planning day. We stayed in the office 12 to 6. Everybody's tired. Let's go home. They go home and that's it. That is it. I promise you. Till the end of 3 months, nobody will pull up that document, right? So there's the lack of understanding, which I have seen. And I think that's one major challenge. People should have a clear understanding of what the OKR is and the reason why we're even doing it. So that way they key into it with a full mindset of understanding of why it's being done in the first place and the benefits that you get. So lack of understanding is one. Also, I also noticed that people create too many per time.
Yeah.
Again, some people would have itemized 9, 10 things. At the end of the day, you may not even be able to achieve them because now you have 10 things. You do a little
Yeah.
bit of one, a little bit of two, a little bit of
Yeah.
three.
Context switching.
There
You
you
end
go.
up with
And
nothing.
the quarter is ended. You end up with nothing, completely nothing. You didn't deliver anything as far as anybody is concerned. So too many OKRs per time. I think it's another great challenge that I have seen. Excuse me. Pardon. And then also sometimes there are lots of dependencies too, right? So again, it's just the same way that, every normal quarterly planning will go. You have, let's say, 10 items that you're hoping would have been your objective for the quarter. So it's left for you guys to look through those 10 and do, what we call the alternative for gone. So let's focus on this, guys, because it's not like we can't do this one, but this one has too many dependencies. Now we have to wait for team A, and team A is not even ready until the end of the third month. So why pick up that objective when it's going to pin you down and you still will not be able to deliver? Yeah, there you go. So you can stretch that one out, maybe put it at a stretch goal, or move it to your next quarter. So focus more on the ones that would have less dependency, or at least dependencies that you have answers to or you can control. So those are some of the things that I feel a lot of people kind of miss it when they're trying to create their OKRs. They have too many OKRs they create, or they create OKRs knowing fully well there are lots of risk and dependencies. They say, just put it there, just put it there. These are some of the things, and also
amazing.
So lack of understanding.
Yeah. So as an agile practitioner, how do you help them to overcome some of these? Because I've heard of 3 key challenges you've mentioned. You've mentioned how there's a lot of misunderstanding of the concept of this tool, OKR, in the first place. People don't even get it. They do it, they just create it, and then they forget about it until the next month, the next 3 months after that quarter. I've heard I've had 3 different things you said. So as an agile practitioner, how do you help your teams overcome some of these challenges you've mentioned?
Yeah, training is a very good, aspect of it. Again, you want to let them know the reasons why we're even creating this OKR. So that way everybody has the right mindset as to why it's created. Also, you want to let them know the benefits, just the things that we'll get out of it, making us to be able to attain our goal. Make your goal visible, so that way they too are holding on to something as they're moving with you. And also, as a Scrum Master, you check from time to time. Now you can agree with your team to say every week on Thursdays we'll be pulling up this OKRs just to look at it, or you can say every end of sprint, maybe during our sprint review, we're going to pull it up and say, have we been able to move? Now let's say you have 5 sprints in your quarter. Oh, I think there's 6 of 6. You can say, divided by, 100, whatever the percentage is, let's say 15. You say, okay, so for the first sprint, we should be able to attain 15% of our goals. If you look at your OKR, you are not in 15% by the end of your first sprint, that's already a risk.
Okay.
So you as the Scrum Master, you should have that sense of measurement as you guys are going, ensuring that every sprint is adding a step forward towards your OKR for that quarter. So these are some of the ways you can help the team to be able to know. Yeah. So that way,
amazing. I really like that quantifiable mindset of a Scrum Master. What I've seen some teams would even do is inside their quarterly OKR, they'll set smaller OKRs from that quarterly OKR. So let's say, for example, in sprint 1, in that 6 sprints, they would say that, let's say if they are trying to achieve, let's say, increase customer engagement on an online banking system by, let's say, 15%. In sprint 1, they are measuring to see. So they would say that in this sprint 1, we want to make sure that we achieve this by 3%.
Exactly.
That way, yes. So they're clearly able to measure how they're doing. Yes. Exactly. And then you're making escalations as needed, or adjusting their quarterly OKR as needed. Also making sure that all of the stakeholders are aligned, so that at the end of the quarter, nobody is surprised on what's going on.
Exactly.
So another challenge, a very major challenge that I've experienced with the use of this OKR, really coming from leadership, is that, especially on the aspect of misunderstanding, not understanding what this is, they tend to use this as a hammer on the teams.
Exactly.
Instead of an information radiator tool, which means that they will set these objectives and then they come up with this key results, which key result is just a tool to help drive you and facilitate your work towards achieving that objective. The teams are putting in their all. They are putting in their best. And then as they come across roadblocks, things change. We escalate these things to leadership. Leadership turns back and hit on us so bad, like, no, what are you guys doing? You're not working, you're failing, and all of these things. Instead of trusting that the team is open enough and this thing is really not set on stone. We are setting these things, but we are also supposed to make it agile, just like you said, and be able to adjust as we go.
As things change, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
The teams cannot do magic. So leadership tends to, if they misunderstand this thing, they tend to use it as a hammer on the team instead of using it as an information radiator. So what when I experienced this one time, so what we did to overcome this was go back to leadership and go back to the basics and make sure that we help them understand what
Mm,
OKRs are, the
very important.
purpose of
Yep.
OKR.
Very,
It's
very
really not
important.
something that you use to hit the
To
team on the
come
head.
and slice off.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. So again, as we progress here, I see up to 78 people connected. Thank you all again so much for joining. For those who just connected late, what we are talking about today is OKR, that is objectives and key results. That's our focus for today. And we are touching on so many important things. We've covered what it is, we've covered why we should use it, we've touched on some of the challenges we've encountered on the ground, we've touched on what the responsibility of a scrum master in all of this, who is accountable to coming up with an OKR. So again, as we proceed here, if you want to, please go ahead and share, click that like button. Again, it doesn't cost you anything. We put in a lot of effort, groundwork, to make this come to you live. So the most we can get from you is your appreciation. It's really always encouraging, and thank you so much. For those that are contributing on the comment section, I also want to appreciate you. Healthy with Benna says, working closely with your PO is vital to the success of a Scrum Master. Totally agree. Proactive,
Yep.
proactive. I cannot emphasize on this enough. So important to think ahead. Yes, I totally agree with you. And then
Yes.
Renee, thank you for connecting. I know Renee, by the way. In my organization, we have Scrum leads. That is squad leads.
Squad leads. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Scrum leads and POs. We have Scrum lead. What's that? Scrum leads. I agree. I get no squad leads. They have
Squad
squad leads.
leads. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have POs. Okay, awesome. And then yeah. So well, again, please go ahead and share this as we proceed. Now, my next question for you, Mrs. Ife, will be what are some of the essential components to consider to be able to create a quality OKR? I know you've touched on some of them as we were talking through this. You've touched on the quantifiable aspects of it. You've touched on being specific. You've touched on ambitious. You've touched on inspiring. I remember all those things. You've touched on time bound. So aside from all these key things you've touched already, is there anything else you like to add as the components or the essential components of what you would consider as a good OKR?
Yeah, so I think from all of those things and a little bit more, the major thing I would like to say is keep it simple, because sometimes you don't want to go speaking jargons and people are scrambling to understand what you're saying. So
Yeah.
keep it simple enough that the
Yeah.
people down your stream can understand. Probably you're in the top leadership, you say, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Just keep it simple enough that people can understand. Also try to be specific, in what you're looking to get. Make your objective specific enough. And then always remember, cascade is very important. After you're done with your vision, you want to make sure it's cascaded down towards until it gets to the team, because again, leaders are more to the strategic enterprise strategy, and then the team level, they are more towards the end user or the customer. So if you don't have this whole group collaborating, trust me, your vision is just vague. So ensure
Yeah.
it's cascaded down until you get to the end of the chain. Make sure it's doable within a given period of time. Again, most people would stay within quarters because those are achievable. So make them small enough, specific, and ensure it's given within a given period of time. So I think these are some of the things we can add to that. To
Amazing. Yeah. So as you also were talking, I mean, what I've been hearing on everything you've been saying is agile. Just like we want our teams to be agile, we want to be agile as individuals. It's the same for our OKRs. We want our OKRs to be as agile as possible. So it shouldn't be crafted in a way that it's set on stone. No.
exactly.
Yes, we want to be able to take or factor in the capacity to allow flexibility and changes to happen as we proceed. And for this to really make sense, it means that we have to be ready to escalate, especially from a Scrum Master perspective. PO perspective, as things change, we want to
Mm-hmm.
escalate as quickly as possible. As we learn new things as we proceed with our work, we want to be able to escalate these new things we've learned and the suggestions, on how to route to a better direction as much as possible, so that we are also adjusting our quarterly OKRs in order to remain on track towards
Yep.
realistic goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to add to that. And now I would just want to know, again, what are some, just, I know you've mentioned like two, three specific examples of OKRs. I would just like you to add like one, two more specific examples for people who may be wondering, oh, they've heard all these things we've said. Yes, great. So can you give us like one sample too of a good OKR that you've experienced in the past?
Um, so if you're talking of work directly, or you want me to use any kind of example
Anything that will make sense to our viewers,
to
that's
our
really the goal.
viewers? Okay, cool. All right. So maybe, okay, I've talked about the lose weight one. So I think everybody would be conversant with that. So
Yeah.
let's assume you work, let's say it's a sales department. They
Mm-hmm.
could decide to create an OKR to say they want to improve their sales performance within a team, within their team. That's an OKR for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they want to improve their sales performance within their team for that quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of the key results they can set for themselves to say, they have sales reps, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one of them can be increase the customer calls per rep, assuming they used to have three per day, as a sales rep, you're expected to make more sales. So instead of having three customers per day, we want to increase your calls from three to six. That's one actionable key result that they're looking to achieve by the end of their quarter, right? So they can
Yeah.
have one, and then another one they can add can be, will I say, maybe would say increase the level
Mm-hmm.
of training courses, or whatever it is that the leadership or lead teams, the lead of those teams, take within that given quarter. Maybe if they usually do one training per quarter, they want to increase it from one to three. Maybe that can help drive the way the sales rep are being coached to get their work done. They can also increase maybe their, so they just give different key result things that they can measure that would help improve the way the sales rep are going. So, what will be their initiatives? They have to start itemizing these initiatives down. Remember, we talked about the initiatives that will be the steps that would help people to be able to create those. So,
Yeah.
now that
Mm-hmm.
you've given this key results that you're expecting to see, what will be the steps you need to take? If you need to increase your calls from three to six, what do we need to do? Does the sales rep need to know more about the product? Does the sales rep need to learn how to sell the product faster or better? So that way you convince the customer faster. Instead of spending 2 hours on the phone, you spend only 30 minutes. So these
Yeah.
are some of the steps you will take. You have to write them down and start implementing them within that quarter. Do we need to train the rep more? Do we need to do this? Another key result can be increase our closing sales from 20%. Maybe you guys usually close at a 20%. You want to increase it from 20% to 27. Of course, that's more money for the company. So that's
Yeah.
another key result you guys can write down and start working towards. How do we increase the closing from 20 to 27? You go do your research, how do you increase that and all of that, and then write out the steps you guys can take and start implementing them. So by the end of the quarter, you want to check, did we increase our sales closing from 20% to 27 as anticipated? If we did, kudos. If we did not, what happened? And then you check
Okay.
on your sales rep. Usually you guys get 3 calls per day. How many are we getting now over an average? You can tell
Yeah.
because now you can measure at the end of the quarter. So that's another example of
Amazing.
what your
Amazing.
OKRs look like.
Wonderful. I'll just like to share one example too on something I've worked on in the past. We have barely few minutes left, and I would like us to take questions from our stakeholders. Yeah,
Yeah,
viewers.
stakeholders.
These are stakeholders actually. Yeah. So in the past I'd worked with it was an online system. So they wanted to enhance customers' experience. That was the objective for that quarter.
Mm,
They wanted to enhance customer experience. And then now we are at the phase of establishing what success will look like, which are the key results. That's really what it is. The objective was to enhance customer experience. And now the key result would be, how do we know we are actually achieving this? What the success looks like? How can we measure to see that we are enhancing customer experience? So in the process of doing that, the key result would be they want to increase the number of stakeholders, of customers, doing transactions online, not having necessarily to come to the in-person
Mm-hmm.
location. They want their customer, the online customer experience to increase by 30% within that quarter. You see,
Mm-hmm.
so now the some of the activities now, which is the initiative they had to do to ensure that that's happening, is they thought if that is enhancing customers experience, if they reduce the steps that customers will have to go through in order to make their
Yeah.
application, so the whole service they were doing is online banking application. If you want to take a loan on the bank, you can simply do that online and stuff like that. So they wanted to, so initially customers would take 12 steps to
Mm-hmm.
finally get to the process of doing that, executing that online loan application. So in that quarter, they wanted to reduce those steps that customers will have to go through from 12 to 3.
That's a good one.
You see, so that's just a specific example. And then, so they wanted to do that within that quarter. So they actually did that, but they didn't achieve from 12 to 3. They actually achieved from 12 to 5. That
That
was
was
still
too
a
much. I
win,
was gonna
you
say,
know.
yeah.
That was still a
That
win.
was
So
too
they
much.
actually
Yeah.
celebrated that, but we had to discuss, okay,
Yes.
what happened? Why were we not able to achieve 5? Is why we're not able to get to 3? But the 5 that we are at right now, is it good enough? Can we
Mm-hmm.
actually make it better and achieve the 3? They had to talk to customers how they feel about going through the changes that have been made, if they need to see anything better differently. So we had to take all the feedback from the customers, and then we factor this in the next quarter. We still said that, as we want to be able to
Out
achieve
of
that
the
and get
road.
to 3,
Yeah.
because the customers really appreciated that, and we're able to achieve that in our next quarter, in addition to another little thing that we added
Yeah.
as our OKR.
There's so
So
many
that's just one
examples.
example.
Yeah. So,
Yes, so
so
that's just
many.
one example I want to add. So Healthy with Benna is saying one of our OKR is to achieve a customer engagement score of
Mm-hmm.
92% from 85%. Okay, I think
Awesome.
so.
Yeah.
What we don't see here is the time bound. So was it quarterly? Was it supposed to be by the end of a quarter or a month or whatever that was? Healthy with Benna. Thank you. But if you would add that little piece of information, what was the time frame on that? That
Mm-hmm.
would be great. So as we do that again, we are almost wrapping up with this session. Please go ahead and show us your support as much as you can. There are different ways to support our channel. You can even join to become a member of this channel. You can, there are so many different ways to do that. And if you want to learn about the different programs we offer, please, we've texted on the chat there. Feel free to visit www.beingagileconsulting.com. You'll see the different programs we offer, wonderful programs for Scrum Masters. Level 1, which is more of the training of the concept, which once you're done, you attain a certification, a certified Scrum Master certification. We have level 2, that is more of mentoring practicals and coaching those that are in between a job. No, those that are in between just having a certification and landing a job. They're stuck in between. So they don't know where to go, how to go about, breaking through the job market. That program is fantastic. It's helped so many people. I cannot even say much about, emphasize on this enough. So we have many, many testimonies on that. So again, if you fall within that category, please feel free to visit our website and focus on the level 2 and see if you meet the prerequisite to be in level 2, because we have some certain prerequisites that you have to meet so that you're being successful. And our level 3 program is really for professionals. So if you're an agile coach, practicing agile coach, if you're a practicing release train engineer, if you're a practicing Scrum Master, product owner, and you're looking to be better, you're struggling with your work, the level 3 program is for you. So reach out to us again through our website, and we will be more than happy to assist you. Now, one other thing that I would like to know from you, Mrs. Ify, is what are some of the resources you can recommend for those that are looking to learn more about this concept of OKR?
Yeah. So I think there are quite a number of them out there. There is also a book by, is that Ben Lamont? There's OKR White Paper by Ben Lamott. So it's Lamorte. That's the last name.
Okay, I'm
And I
just gonna
think
type
he,
it there. Can you come again?
yes.
L what?
So it's LA and then Morte. So it's Ben Lamott, if I got that
Okay.
right.
Okay.
OKR White Paper. That's a book. There's another
Okay.
one he co-wrote with Paul Niven. I think it's Niven. Niven, if I got that right.
Okay.
Paul. Yeah, the name of that book is Alignments and Engagements with OKR. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So
Thank you
these,
so
yeah,
much.
so and there are lots of materials out there. Again, you can get quick courses on the usual free YouTube and all of that. So there are lots of materials out there you can, yeah, use to look through if
Amazing.
you want
So,
to learn.
before we start taking the few questions from our viewers, so what advice would you have for our viewers, especially our Scrum Masters and our Agile coaches, our POs? What advice would you have for them? Just give us one advice in terms of leveraging this OKR tool.
Well, if you haven't been using it, use it, and always remember less is more in the space of OKR. So it keeps you specific, it keeps you focused, on what exactly would be business-driven value for your company. So it's a very good framework to use. I would recommend any company, any organization to key into OKRs because that would help you guys get more value out of the little that you do.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I would just like to add to that, especially our Scrum Masters, the ones that are struggling with 1 million priorities. Our product owners, the ones that are struggling with 1 million priorities. I know what I'm talking about because I talk to them every single day. When they encounter these challenges, they typically reach out through our communities, through me directly, and share all these concerns and try to figure out what to do. And now the leaderships, they're expecting them to make miracle. How is that possible?
Yes.
So please leverage this.
uh,
If your organization doesn't know about this, you should be the one to introduce it to them. You shouldn't only be at the receiving end.
yeah.
So take that step, come up with something nice. Don't just go tell them, show them.
Show them. Yeah.
Yes, come up, take
And
your time and prep. Go
mhm.
show them and give them examples of companies that are leveraging this and it's working for them. And
And
come
it
from a place
would
of
help them.
experimenting. Yes, let them
Yeah.
experiment this and see how it works for them. And once they're able to adopt this, trust me, it will make your life easy. It will make your life easy. So you're not a
I think it would
Superman. You just
also
have to be
make the
actionable.
leadership more trusting because nobody wants
Yes.
to hear no. I asked you to get this done and you're telling me no, you don't have time.
Yeah.
But if you if they kind of understand the concept of OKR, you are not telling them no, you're only making it a stretch goal. So at the moment, you're asking me to do this, but here's the reason why I can't even do it now.
Yeah.
It has this dependency, it has this, it has that. So I'm taking your request and I'm putting it in the second quarter. So I'm not saying no, I'm going to do it. It's
Yeah.
just in the next quarter. So
Amazing. So
that
when I
would help.
mentioned show them, what I really mean is be transparent. Don't just leave it in your head and your PO's head or your team's head. No, write it down, have it written somewhere. There's one thing I usually say that if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. It doesn't. So have it written somewhere and make it visible. And then when your leadership is asking all those magical ones, show them these things, and go by data. Data should inform whatever OKR you have established. Show them that, okay, based on our capacity, based on this goal, this is the reason why we cannot achieve whatever you're asking now. So what is really the priority that you want? Okay, what kind of trade-offs can we do now? So you'll be able to
Yeah.
have open, healthy conversation when you have these things visible, transparent, and you socialize it for all of your stakeholders to be able to see. So this brings us to the end of our session, Mrs. Iffy. Thank you so much. One thing that I would
Yay.
like to hear from you is if our viewers are interested in connecting with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Okay, so I'm just a simple girl from the block. So um
Yeah, you're
well, you
right.
can find me.
I like
You can
that
find
humility.
me.
It's everything.
You can find me on Instagram and Instagram would be Ify TBS. So the TBS here, maybe I'll just take your platform to say a quick word.
Yeah, go
It's
ahead.
just a program that I'm starting. You'll be seeing more videos come your way soon, hopefully, for those of you who would connect. What the TBS is just towards a better society. So what I'm doing with that, it's kind of life coaching. So it's virtually everything: work, work balance, mental health, whatever it is, think about
Mhm.
it, something that will improve the society that we are all living in, because somehow we all need peace, don't we? So that's what it's for.
Mhm.
We're going to have different, talk shows on that. Maybe someday I'll bring Karen on to also talk about her story, different things that we'll be doing there. It's just to encourage the next person out there to be able to have, a better mindset, because at the end of the day, it's your mindset that drives you. The difference between you and the next person is
Mhm.
your mindset,
Your mindset,
right? So that's what
exactly.
we'll be working on, using the TBS. So you can find me on Instagram. It's IFYTBS. And then hopefully I'll also create a YouTube channel where I can store some of those documents as well. So
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for
thank
sharing
you.
that. So I'll just like us to take 7 minutes and address some questions from our viewers. So the first question here from, I know the person, so I'm going to call the name I'm familiar with, Anne. How do you combine tech and business OKRs?
Oh, that's a great question. So when you say tech and business OKRs, it depends on where your question is coming from. So if it's an
Mhm,
OKR business that
mhm,
definitely has a tech in it, if that's
mhm,
what you're saying, because sometimes you say, like we have been given some examples, you want to be able to increase customer happiness from, that's a
mhm,
business value, right?
mhm,
But
mhm,
then there's the tech part of doing it. So
mhm,
if that's what your question is, yes, again, the PO or product manager in this case, who has that ideology that this is a business value we're looking for to drive, customer happiness, when checking out, when they're using our website to
mhm,
have that nice experience.
mhm,
So when they bring it to the team, now the tech folks are the ones who now, like Karen mentioned before, create smaller OKRs, maybe week
mhm,
by week or sprint by sprint, to be
mhm,
able to achieve driving this business value. So by the end of this sprint, we're going to tweak our API to be able to connect to XYZ server so we can pull data. By the end of the next sprint, we should be able to change the user interface. That's the front end now. Change the user interface of how the customers check out. Maybe by the end of the next sprint, we should be able to have our UX designer give us a clear design of what our new checkout page will look like. So these are the small tech goals they are creating to
mhm,
be able to
mhm,
meet that business goal by the
mhm.
end of the quarter. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Amazing, amazing,
Yeah.
great. So the next question here is, how should I track OKRs other than verbal exchanges? I think that's a really good question.
Yeah. So your OKRs again, like we had said, make it visible. That's one. Secondly, if it's
Mhm,
visible enough, you can make that agreement with your team to say, again, maybe during all our sprint reviews, we're going to look into it. Or
mhm,
we are going to talk about it every week just to make sure
mhm,
we're tracking and making sure we're getting there. Also,
mhm,
you can use tools, different tools, depending on what tool your organization use. Some people use Confluence, some people have SharePoint. So whatever
mhm,
it is, again, make it visible enough that
mhm,
anybody in the team should be able to access it. Right. So
mhm,
these are the ways that we can all track it together, because it's not just you as a Scrum Master or the team lead who will be tracking. Everybody on the team should be able to all hands on deck.
mhm.
So that way we can all drive together and move together. So your tools will help
Amazing.
you. Make sure you're checking as the lead or Scrum Master whatsoever,
Mhm.
and make sure the team is moving with you.
Beautiful. So I would just like to add to that. In the past, what I have used with the teams that I've helped to keep track of OKRs is especially the tools. We use Confluence. Some teams also use Mural at that
Mm-hmm.
time to keep track of their OKR. So they will have this quarterly OKR established and saved in Confluence, for example. And then every sprint they set a sprint goal as their
So what's it?
drafted towards achieving that quarterly OKR. And then as they are making progress through the different Scrum events, daily Scrum, plannings, review, and retrospective, they continuously discuss, have a conversation around, how they are making progress, and all the work is being tracked from tools like Jira, Azure DevOps, whatever you're using. But Once you're doing that, you're making sure that you're syncing with the overall one in your Confluence, and everyone is in alignment. And it's through this conversation and this visibility through these different tools I've mentioned that you're able to identify any dependence, any impediments,
Yep.
dependencies, and you're
Rest.
escalating them proactively so that you all are making adjustments as you go. So I hope that answers your question. Wamahoro. All right. So let's take the next question here. Um, so I see health. I don't know if we read this already. Each quarter, I get my PO to present the teams what the objective of the quarter is, what our top priorities are, and how we plan to get there. Wonderful. This helps the teams understand our focus. Beautiful. Healthy with Ben. Um, okay, and then Renee is saying that the Scrum Master drives or ensures the execution of the OKRs at the team level. Yes. So I would really, like I said, I mentioned this. I would like to call it ensures that this is happening. So your own is to make sure you're connecting with the right people, the PO, on time, proactively, and discussing these things so that they are creating them, they are making them visible, they are socializing them enough, and then they are actually using them. Because creating them is one thing, but using them is something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right. So, working closely with RPO is vital to the success of a Scrum Master. Very important. Proactive. Yeah, I think we already touched on that. And then Adeyemi is saying that, hi, Adeyemi, the three amigo. PO, Scrum Master, and Tech Lead. Yes, will help the team in the accomplishment of OKR. Yes. Everyone, we need everyone's hand on deck, but these three people in the team, including the engineering manager, based on
Yep.
the organization, or the project manager, or the functional manager, whatever kind of manager you have, to me, I think is this four set of stakeholders. They are the ones to really ensure that the team is accomplishing according to their OKR. And then, okay, Morning Deal is saying, Karen, please, can we sometimes talk about roadmaps and initiative, please? Your wish is granted, Morning Deal. We would definitely touch on
Your
that.
wish
I
is my
promise you.
command.
Exactly. All right. Don't just excuse my kind of laugh. It's sometimes my laugh is annoying to me.
That's
So
cool. Like it.
just all right. One of our OKR is to achieve a customer engagement score of 92 to 85%. Okay.
From
And
my.
then
Yep.
yeah, it used to be 85. So they want to make
So
progress from
92.
85 to 92. That's my understanding. Which OKR are we aligned with, please? Personal, manager, or company's OKR? So I'm not sure
Oh,
I
that's a
understand
great
your question
question.
very well.
Yeah,
Okay, go
I
ahead
kind
if
of
you
get what you're saying. So
okay.
good question. That's a very good question. So remember when we said your the OKR majorly is aligning with company organizational goals. That's the first alignment. So whatever it is the organization has for a vision as per OKR, that's where everybody starts breaking down from. So now it breaks down from your company to your PO manager, and from your PO manager into the team. So first of all, the end point, the apex, right, is the top of the company, which is the organizational goal. So that's where everybody aligns to. If that answers your
Amazing.
question.
Wow, amazing. Thank you. But I, as an individual, as an agile practitioner, I set my own personal OKRs, and that
Yeah.
usually
So
ties to my IDP,
to
what I
your
call,
stuff, yeah.
yeah,
So every other
independent.
thing can come around, yeah. But then we want to also make sure our eyes are on the goal of the organization.
Yeah,
Right. So every other little thing will
exactly.
come because there are
Yeah.
some little, what do you call those, enhancements that come alongside. So now on the tech side, they have their monthly maintenance they do, they have their, code cleanup they do. All of those are little OKRs here and there that they can set alongside, but everybody still has to align to what
Yeah,
the organization is
exactly.
looking
That
for.
should be the priority of every individual. And then outside of that, I do my own personal ones, which I usually categorize that under my individual development plan.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
me just keep developing myself is how I am able to help the organization achieve this OKR.
Perfect.
That's
And
really
it's
how
for
I see it.
everybody, to be honest. It's both work and outside work. OKR is just for everybody, in my
Okay,
opinion.
yeah. So Funmi is asking, Lilian is saying, great insight. Thanks for sharing. So Mrs.
Thanks,
Ife, I think
Lillian.
you'll really
Thank
appreciate that.
you.
So thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. That's nice.
And then Funmi is
Great.
asking, are OKRs the same thing as sprint goals? What do you think?
So again, I think the OKRs, if you want to call them sprint goals, we can say yes, we can say no.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the reason why I'm saying yes and no is because number one, we had said from the OKRs we have, let's say for the quarter,
Mm-hmm.
we can create those smaller OKRs which we can coin
Mm-hmm.
into our sprint goal, right? But
Yes.
also
Mm-hmm.
in that sprint, there are some other little things that we may add
Mm-hmm.
that may not just be OKR specific.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? Something may come in. Maybe somebody just joined the team, right? He's a new guy. Part of our sprint goal in that sprint is to ensure this guy is properly set up. He has all the system running. He goes through his
Mm-hmm.
training. That can be included in our goal for that sprint. So that's
Mm-hmm.
not really aligning to OKR as it were, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still
Yeah.
part of our work, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
OKR per se. So it
Mm-hmm.
can go yes and it can go no, only because sometimes in the sprint we still have some little other things we might need to focus on that may not just be
Amazing.
OKR specific.
All right, so Paris has given some really good contribution, which I would like to share here. So I believe, so answering Funmi's question, I believe they are not the same. The way I understand it, OKRs are the overall business goal, while sprint goals are the smaller goals that will lead to achieving the OKR. I can't say it any better than that.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly to me what it is.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, I think we've come to the end of the session. Again, Mrs. Iffy, I
Oh,
cannot thank you enough. I really appreciate the time that you've come here to, share your knowledge, and just make a difference. And I'm really looking forward to your upcoming, program that you're currently building. So I will be more than honored to participate. And
oh yes,
if
you
this
will.
session has been valuable to you as well, please again continue to support our channel, continue to support our message, continue to support our platform. That's really the only way we stay motivated and show up all the time here to give you the best that we can. So thank you so much, and Miss Iffy, it's really been an honor to have you on this platform, and we hope to connect another time, either on this
Thank you.
platform, in the community, on all the other things that we
Or
do,
anywhere
or on
else.
your platform. All
Thank you
right,
so
you
much.
take
Thank you,
care and
Karen. Yeah, I
stay
really
blessed.
appreciate this time and I thank everybody for listening too. Thank you.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome. Bye bye.
All right, bye.